One of my favorite activities is walking alone in the school's flower garden every afternoon. It makes me feel very comfortable. But today, I suddenly had an asthma attack. I quickly fell to the ground and frantically searched for my inhaler in my bag, but I couldn't find it. I was very scared when suddenly a voice rang out behind me.
Looking for this?
It was Drake, the most mysterious male student at the school. No one had ever spoken to him, and he always showed up like a gangster. Drake took a seat beside me and gave me the inhaler. I hurriedly reached for the spray. Then I looked up to thank Drake after I stopped having trouble breathing, but he had inexplicably vanished. Hello, my name is Casey, and if you're interested in my tale, please like and subscribe to the video. The following day is a weekend, and I invited Melissa, my best friend from high school, to join me for a round of golf. When I informed her what happened, she bursted out laughing like a little monkey.
Drake, I haven't seen him talk to anyone at school, Cass. He probably likes you.
Stop being ridiculous, Mel. It was just a coincidence. Anyway, Drake is not my type.
You know, everyone in school always rumors that Drake is the mafia boss. So what will the title of the story be? Beauty and the Beast? It's so stimulating.
I had to tap Melissa on the head as usual to settle her down. Stop making things up. Suddenly, a familiar figure approached. I realized it was Ricky, my boyhood friend, whose parents sent him to Germany to study. Now he's back and he looks even more handsome. Ricky walked up to me and politely placed a kiss on my hand.
Hello, gorgeous. It's been a long time.
It's great to see you again, handsome. And how are you doing?
Would have been wonderful with you by my side, but I performed pretty well on my own. But why are you golfing with the maid? Hey, maid! Get me orange juice or something. I'm so thirsty.
Melissa was furious after hearing that. She now changed into a rage-filled little monkey.
Hey, do I look like a maid to you? How dare you?
Whatever. I have something to tell your parents. See you later.
After Ricky left, Melissa approached me and asked,
Are you sure that's the cute friend you keep talking about? He's so rude.
I think he must have been tired after the long flight. He's really a good guy. When I arrived at school the next day, I noticed many of my students gathering into the schoolyard around the high platform. Ricky then came out of the chopper, holding a little speaker, and started talking in front of the school.
Everyone, consider yourself fortunate that I chose to study at this school from now on.
Ricky then turned to the ecstatic girls and remarked,
Ladies, I know I'm exceptionally attractive and handsome, but I already have a target in mind.
Ricky's speech made him the center of every student's attention. During those several days, Ricky and I were constantly followed by hordes of girls wearing various faces, including wrath and jealousy. I went to the test results board a few days later to examine the results of last year's final exam, and what I saw there shocked me significantly. Drake, who has always been in the top 4 in all tests, has completely claimed my -- 1 spot. I was confused when Drake suddenly appeared behind me and said,
Any questions?
How did you...
Shh. It's a secret.
Drake then leaned in close and lifted my hair to whisper,
I'm just extremely smart. Of course, I'm better than you. Previously, I did it because I liked the number 4, and competing with you guys was also exceedingly boring. However, this semester's math challenge has piqued my curiosity, so it's obvious.
After Drake said that, my whole body froze. He was so arrogant. While I was in shock, from somewhere, an extremely angry Ricky rushed forward and shouted at Drake.
Stay away from her, you gangster! Who the hell do you think you are coming close to Casey?
In contrast to Ricky's anger, Drake responded extremely calmly.
Isn't that the flamboyant gentleman who just arrived? You are nothing in my eyes, so debating with you would be extremely dumb, so have fun.
Then coldly turned around and left. Ricky was furious, as if he had been spilled a pail of cold water. I was curious as to how the mafia guy managed to surpass me in the exam, so I secretly followed him into the library the next day. But all Drake did was sleep with a book over his face. When I spotted Drake sleeping, I crept closer and peeked at his notepad and noticed that he had very lovely handwriting. Drake's hand unexpectedly seized mine while I was paying attention. I instantly raised my face and almost touched Drake's lips. I just wanted to get the book next to your notebook.
Now, I have an important question to ask you. What is the name of your moisturizer you use because your hands are quite soft?
Realizing Drake was still holding my hand, I made an excuse and ran away. Well, I think I need to go to the bathroom. Ricky invited me out to dine that afternoon to catch up on old times, and I accepted. Ricky brought me to one of the city's finest restaurants that night. A waiter then served us a platter of steak. Ricky took one glance at the dish of steak and raged at the waiter.
What is this? I asked for a plate of steak with red wine sauce, not your stupidity.
The chef heard and rushed out.
What's the matter, sir?
I ordered a plate of steak with red wine sauce. So where is my sauce? This restaurant's a mess. You're fired.
You can't do that. I'm the owner of this restaurant.
You do know my dad owns half of this city. I'll say the press writes about this restaurant poisoning the customers.
Ricky turned and left, dragging me with him.
Come on, Casey. Let's get out of this stupid place.
When I got out, I was extremely angry and asked Ricky, "What's wrong with you, Ricky? How can you say such rude words?"
I can say anything to anyone I want.
You've changed so much. You're no longer my lovely and kind friend.
Friend? Didn't you hear what I said the other day in front of the whole school? I don't want to be your friend. You should be my lover.
You don't have the right to force me to do anything, Ricky.
You don't have the right to decide. Our parents want this. I want this. So you have to listen.
So angry, I walked away and left Ricky there alone. On my way back home the next day, I noticed a familiar person in the dark alleyway. I instantly realized it was Drake, so I got out of the car and followed him and the other person down to an underground cellar. Is he truly a juvenile crime boss? When I opened the cellar door, I was surprised to see so many nerds hunched over their calculators. They are sitting for a calculus exam. The three highest achievers sat on the uppermost platform in the room, each with three separate tables, and Drake stood out because of his style. Drake quickly saw me. He was so surprised that he fell backwards, but quickly sat up and continued very calmly. I feel that he's very cute, and I couldn't help but smile. Drake was eventually granted second place, although he didn't appear happy about it. Drake then approached me.
Because of your appearance, it took me 5.8 seconds. This is the last math solution for me to complete my gold medal collection.
Sorry, I didn't know. Suddenly, a very fierce-looking nerd rushed forward and shouted,
I bet $200,000 that you would win! I want my money back!
Drake calmly held my hand.
Time to go, Casey.
Drake and I quickly left the basement. He took me on his motorcycle, and while we were riding, it was raining heavily, forcing us to take shelter at a nearby bus stop. I called home and told my parents that I would be sleeping over at Melissa's house today. Then I told Drake about all my fantasies about him, and for the first time, I saw Drake smile. Sorry, because of me, you couldn't win the contest.
It's okay. There are many other competitions.
So it turns out you're just a nerd?
That's all? So, you mean being a nerd means I can't wear a cape and ride a motorcycle?
That's not what I meant, but you really impressed me.
You seem to be cold.
Then Drake took off his cloak and put it on me, and then pulled me into his arms and hugged me.
I think my body temperature will keep you from getting cold.
Thank you. It really helped me a lot. I fell asleep without realizing it, and the next morning, I woke up to find I had slept on Drake's shoulder all night. I woke Drake up. Because yesterday's clothes were all wet, we quickly went to the clothing store and changed into new clothes. Then, Drake took me to school. We went back to school and all my classmates were surprised to see Drake with me. Melissa quickly appeared.
Look at who just found love.
Suddenly, Ricky came out of nowhere like a blazing fire. He pointed straight at Drake's face and said,
You dirty gangster! What did you do to Casey?
What are you? Her father? You can't even control yourself.
Once again, defeated, Ricky turned back to talk to me.
Casey, what would your parents think if you hung out with a gangster? You should obediently be my lover.
Is that so? Do you have proof? You should stop being rude and leave me alone, Ricky. Ricky angrily turned around and told Drake,
Drake, you will pay the price.
Then left. After Drake left, Melissa approached me with interest and said she would always support me and Drake.
It looks like we're about to have a clash of the titans. Rest assured, I've already chosen a side. Drake will win. I wish you both happiness.
After saying that, Melissa happily ran away as quickly as he appeared. When I arrived at school the next day, I was stunned to see that the entire wall had been painted with horrible lines and several of the students' lockers had been shattered. The principal was very angry and, almost immediately, Ricky appeared next to him and asked to review the security cameras. The principal then reviewed the tape and somehow saw that in the tape Drake had caused the whole thing. Ricky on the side was extremely gloating.
Drake, you're officially suspended from vandalizing the school. You'll come back when we have more evidence. You brat, you're angry because you know you have no chance to compete with me over Casey. How pathetic.
Drake didn't say anything and left silently. I immediately chased after Drake. Drake! I don't believe you did all that. There will soon be evidence proving your innocence.
That's more than enough for me.
Drake turned and left. I snuck into Ricky's house that night and entered the room through the window since I was wary of his acts and attitude. I was looking around when I heard a disturbance, so I ran into the closet and opened it a bit to observe. I was startled to see Drake with Ricky, but upon closer inspection, I discovered that it was a guy faking Drake. Ricky grinned at him and handed him a large wad of cash. Because I was astonished, I accidentally touched the cabinet door, causing it to make a sound. Ricky rushed to open the closet door. He became enraged when he saw me holding the phone and raised his hand to strike me.
Casey! How dare you!
Suddenly, Ricky's parents appeared and stopped him. I showed them the evidence and told them about Ricky's actions. His parents were so angry that they completely cut off his finances and sent him back to Germany immediately. Watching the plane take off, I was very sad to lose a friend. He was no longer the person I used to know. I kept phoning Drake after that, but he never answered the phone. I even went to Drake's door to inquire, but the security guy shook his head as well. I was terrified, wondering if Ricky had hurt Drake before leaving. I experienced a panic attack and collapsed on the floor of Drake's door due to trouble breathing. I was frightened and looked for my inhaler, but it was nowhere to be found. Then a familiar voice rang out at the same time.
Looking for this?
Drake was leaning against the door, smiling at me. He sat down and gave me the bottle of medicine. After taking the medicine, I hugged him. Drake, I thought something had happened to you.
It's okay. I'm just busy doing something important.
Drake took me to his room. When he opened the door, I was extremely surprised to see a huge portrait of me in the middle of the room. It looked so gorgeous. I jumped up and hugged Drake.
Casey, I always wanted to say that I loved you, but I was so scared to face you. Please, consider this picture as my confession and agree, Casey.
Suddenly, Melissa appeared from nowhere and howled happily. It turns out she's been following me for some time now.
Great! Congratulations to you two!
I was extremely happy and pulled Drake in to give him a kiss to show my agreement.